How's it going, YouTube? Jimmy here again. So when we last left off, we made the wheels. Yay. In this lesson, we're going to go ahead and start working on the inner fender, the disc brakes, and just a few other things to kind of like close off these gaps down here where the wheels are. So for starters, this is a Honda Civic. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's what we were making, is a Honda Civic. So what I'm going to do, I don't know why I just did that. There we go. I'm going to move this turn it about 90 degrees in the whatever axis that is. I'm just going to go to face. I'm just going to press delete on these. So is what I want to do here. I'm actually going to manipulate these a little bit more than this, but this is going to be the inner fender. So I'm just going to move that right about there. I'm going to scale it out about like that. So one of the things you're going to notice is when we look at this, let me go into face real quick because I actually need to delete these front faces right here. I do not want those. So whenever we move this into place, the first thing you're going to notice, you're going to be like, what the hell, Jimmy? It's not even visible. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, you can just see it's clearly not visible by any stretch or means of the imagination. To this, we'll just go to mesh display and we'll click reverse. Boom, there we go. And so you'll notice that we still have some of these other components that are kind of like covering up on that. We're not really gonna want that. Easiest way to do this at this point is just to grab these. We're just gonna pull them forward. Go ahead and grab these. I'm just gonna make these flat. I'm just gonna pull these forward right about here. And all I'm gonna do is just start matching these up about right here on these vertices. That one can go right here. Nobody cares. So I'm just going to move that one right here. And these don't have to be exact, and they don't have to be exact at all. Basically all I'm doing is I'm just trying to make them where they're... That was an epic fail. Whoa, why is that doing that? Oh no, that's actually really interesting. There we go. I don't have no, that still didn't do it. Cause see, it's still doing. Okay, you know what? To hell with you. Okie dokie. Let's see. What about this one? Okay, so this one's the same as what's going on is it's actually going along the edge. So right here on the transform constraint, we're going to turn that off. Let's go back in here, and that is still off. So now we should be able to click on this, and there we go. Yeah, Maya problems. So you just kind of got to like look around it and try and figure out what the hell's going on. So anyways, I'm actually going to grab this edge right here at this point. I'm going to extrude it, and when I extrude it, I'm going to extrude out. About like that. Now, I know we have some clipping right over here, but all we're going to do, actually instead of going to vertex, I'm just going to click edge, make it a little easier on me. I'm just going to move this right about here. And right here in wireframe, I'm actually going to come in here. I'm going to add an edge loop. I'm going to add an edge loop right here. And probably need to go ahead and add one right about here as well. This way it has a little bit of smoothness. There we go. So now when I press 3, let me turn off X-ray. So now when I press 3, we'll have this shape. In fact, let's just see, object mode. Let's just see what this looks like whenever I smooth it all out. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're going to have. Something like that. Now we still have some clipping, so let's go ahead and fix this real quick. Let's go into vertex. I'm just going to grab these right here. I'm just going to pull them forward. Something like that. Let's see. So we still have that issue right there. Let's go ahead and just pull these down. Pull these forward. Something like that. I'm actually going to grab these. I'm going to pull these up. So, there we go. Yeah, that looks good. Now, some vehicles, this actually sticks up a little ways. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep this as basic as possible. So if you're like, what the hell? Well, that's why. That's what the hell. I'm going to click on this, Control G, Control Shift D, and then I'm going to click on this one, Control G, and then Control D. I'm just going to move it forward, and we're actually going to use this same thing right here. So we'll have to move this out, which means we'll have to get rid of this one. No big deal. We'll just move this over right about here, I'm thinking. And let me take a look at this. So let's go ahead and go into Vertex. I'm actually going to select these. I'm just going to move these in, about like that. We'll pull these in just a little bit, something like that. So now, with any luck, let's go ahead and press 3 on the keyboard and see what we get. It doesn't look too bad. I don't like this right here, though. Boy, that cough came out of nowhere. It's like, here I am. Okay, so anyways, is what I want to do here. Let me go back in this view. Oh, that's because I'm on the wrong thing. I need to come into this one. So I'm going to click on this and go into Vertex. Is what I want to do here. First thing I want to do is make this match down. Sorry. I'm going to make this mesh smash down. And no, I think I'm going to leave that one right there. So the next thing I want to do is actually pull this in. Let's see, I'm going to pull this about like that. I'm going to pull it in just a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and select this edge. I'm going to pull this edge in about like that. I'm going to go and pull this edge out. There we go. So now we should have this shape. Now we do have this right here. Let me go ahead and just hide this real quick. So I need this to be smooth. The reason why it's not smooth because of the fact that we don't have an edge loop. But now with that added edge loop, as you can see, this is now smooth. This is more of what we'd come to expect this to have. So I'm going to go and click on this one again. We'll go back into edge. We'll just move the edge out, something like that. Let's go into face. I'm going to pull this face out just a little bit. There we go. Object mode. So because we changed the fender over here, we'll go ahead and just duplicate that across. Control S, and we'll go ahead and grab both of these. Control G, Control Shift D, and there we go. Now both of those are fixed. Let's go ahead and save it. Let's go and just press 1 on the keyboard. So let's go ahead and do the disc brakes real quick, and then we'll start working on other components. The disc brakes are very simple. I'm just going to create a cylinder, and I'm going to try and get it right here where this where the center cap is. So let's go and just rotate this in. We'll scale it down. Now the disc brakes in the rear are actually fairly small compared to the ones in the front. Actually, I believe it's 70%, anywhere between 70 to 80% of your braking power comes from the front. And yeah, just a little random fact. Let's go into the image here. So on these, on most vehicles, the caliper in the rear is in the rear. The caliper on the front is in the front. So little, just a little notation there. Depends on how. I'm going to try and think how to explain this. It depends on how realistic you want the caliper to look. That will basically be the determining factor of how much detail you put into it. So a normal brake caliper, I'll just show you an image of it. Caliper. So a normal brake caliper, yeah, those are good brakes right there. Here's a good image. I'm just going to go in here and show you real quickly. So these right here are your pins. These pins glide right here, which is the mounting bracket. And right here there's actually a cutout. The pads, which are right here, go into this. So you have one pad on the outside and one pad in the inside. On these brake calipers, there's actually a piston on this back part that whenever you push down the brakes, it pushes one of these pads in. And because it pushes one pad in, you basically get friction from both pads on both sides of the disc brake. That's the general premises on how these are set up. These right here basically just kind of float on this bracket. More or less they float on the bracket. There are bolts that hold them in, but that's basically the best way I can put it. There's usually, if I remember correctly, it really depends on the vehicle, but generally it's between 10 to 13 millimeter bolts that hold this bracket on, and then the caliper on, and then this bracket right here, it's usually like a 15 millimeter bolt or an 18 millimeter, depending on what kind of vehicle you're working on. I've seen them as small as 13s, but so those are basically the general setup of brakes, and it really just depends on how much detail you want to put into this. Completely optional, so that's completely up to you. I'm going to go fairly detailed. I'm not even going to lie. Because I am going to go detailed, I actually need to get an image, so I don't know why I just closed that window, but let me go ahead and just type in brake caliper. Man, I cannot type today. I blame it on... I don't know what I blame. Oh yeah, see here's an image of the piston I was talking about. So this circular thing right here is the piston. That's what pushes out. So anyways, see, this is actually a dual piston brake right here. Actually, that might be a quad piston. I can't really see. Yeah, this is a quad piston. Okay, this is like the Wheelwood brake setup, and it might also be like Brembo brakes. This one looks like actually like a 6-piston. That's just insane. But anyways, the more pistons you have, the more force it's able to push on the brake pads, thus increasing the stopping speed of the brakes. And of course, it all comes down to your traction. And if you're wondering why I'm still talking, not clicking anything, it's because I'm looking for good images. But anyways, depending on how many discs, or not discs, but depending on how many pads you have in there, it still all comes down to, that's close. But it comes down to how much traction your wheels are able to grab. So if you have, I don't know, let's just say hypothetically you have let's just say you have like 50 pistons, which is just insane. If you're not going to get the traction, it's not going to help you slow down or anything, because you just don't have the grip you actually need. It's basically just going to cause the wheel to lock up. So, I cannot find a generic, I'm like, here's a generic image of one, but that's not what I'm looking for. So, let's just type in 2008 Honda Civic, Honda Civic. To hell with it. Close enough. Okay, so, it's close. What I might have to end up doing is just finding one of these images and just kind of like slapping something together. I very well may have to do that because I am not seeing shit for images. I kind of like this image right here using one of these, but, as I stated before, I'm trying to make it where you can tell it's a Honda, but it doesn't have any of the badging, and so that's really what I'm trying to go for. I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use one of these images. It's probably going to be the closest I'm going to... How did I even miss that one? This will work. This will work, because I know the basic idea on how the other side's set up, so I'm just going to roll with this. And these are probably 13 millimeter bolts. Yeah, if it's a Honda Civic, it's probably going to be like a 10 or 13 millimeter. But these attach to the pins, and that's what holds the caliper on, keep it from falling off. And these two right here are for the hold down bracket, and these would be 13s or 15s that go in here. And these actually bolt to the, they bolt to the thing, man, okay? They bolt to the thing. I can't think of what the thing's called, but they bolt to it. So, yay. Let's go ahead and save this image. We'll just call this brake. So all I gotta do is whenever I import the image is look for a file called brake. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to move this over here. I also need to change this from object to world because, yeah, it's gonna drive me crazy. So let's go in here to view, image plane, import image. I'm gonna go to desktop. I'm gonna look for brake. Not bark, brake. There we go. I'm just gonna move this over here. I'm also gonna scale it down because that's just absurd. And I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to frame in on that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to undo the rotation. And let's go ahead and just start modeling the crap out of this. So One thing I like about this is the fact that I can already just hit 3 and it already has this basic shape. So I need to keep that in mind whenever I do this. So I'm actually going to have both of these outside faces selected, and I'm just going to extrude them out just a little bit. I'm going to move them down. Oops. Then I'm going to move them right about here. I'm going to press G on the keyboard. I'm just going to come out with them. I'm going to press G one more time, and I'm just going to scale them out. So now when I press 3, I should have this general shape. So that's about correct. About. The last thing I need to do is come in here to edge loop. I'm just going to put an edge loop right about here. Something like that. Okay, so something this image is not showing, and I'm kind of saddened by it, but it's not really showing the thickness. So it's not a big deal because I know how these brakes are generally. So, oh, that's right, I can't do it that way because I have the picture on reference. Okay, so right here, first of all, that's coming out too far. No, actually, that's about right. Yeah, that's actually about right. Silly me. So what I want to do is I want to come in here to edge loop. I'm just going to add an edge loop about like this. And so I'm going to go here into face. I'm going to select these bottom faces right here. I'm going to extrude outwards and just come up to about here. I'm going to press extrude again and extrude this. And then I'm going to come up to here. I'm going to press extrude again, and I'm just going to come like that. I actually need to flatten these out, so this way when I press 3, this should be the general shape. Yeah, pretty close. So the next thing I need to do is come in here with edge loop, and I actually need to create an edge loop up here, and then I need to create an edge loop across here and across here. There we go. And then the last thing I'm going to need to do is I need to add an edge loop here in the middle, about like that. Okay. And so finally, oh, I need one more edge loop. Silly me. Press 1 on the keyboard so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to create an edge loop right here, so this way we have this general shape. I still need, whoa, that was random. I'm still going to need one more edge loop right here, so this way it holds this shape as well. So this is the basic brake pad. I'm going to go ahead and click on face. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to scale it in just a little bit. Let me pull it up just a little bit more. So right here is where the piston would be. We don't need that much detail because we're not actually going to see it. Honestly, we probably didn't even need this, but you know what? Lol. You only live once. I guess technically you can live multiple times. The real way to put it is you only die once. I'm like, you know, because you only have one life. You can't like pick up extra lives like you can in Mario. Okay, so I'm going to grab these right here, and I'm going to scale these in. I'm just going to pull this down a little bit. Probably right about there. There we go. And so this is going to be the basic shape of what we're going to be using. Honestly, I don't like how wide these are, so I'm actually going to pull these in. I probably need to go ahead and grab these faces as well. So I'm just going to pull these back. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Okay. So I'm going to grab these faces, and I'm just going to pull these back. Yeah, probably something like that. There we go. So now we need to go ahead and create the bracket. Obviously, oh no, we do have the bracket. Okay, so this is going to work out rather nicely. And by the way, we're actually going to be looking at this side, not this side. So let's go ahead and create the brake pad real quick. Let's come in here. Brake pad. Why not? It's a brake pad. No, images. Images. Images, damn you! Alright, so it doesn't matter what kind of brake pad we use. They're all generically the same. So, let's see. This one looks good. Let's go ahead and open that in a new tab. And this isn't going to be like whatever. See, this is for an Audi and Volkswagen. And these are actually for the rear brakes. I can almost promise you these are for the rear brakes because of how small they are. Which actually we're working on the small. Which honestly we're working on the rear brakes. So brake pad. Man, I cannot type today. But anyways, so yeah, we're just going to go ahead and import this image. Image plane, import image. Let's go back down to brake pad. And there we go. So I'm just going to create, let's see, basically just creating a thing, a cube. That's what it's called, a cube. So I'm going to scale this out to about here. This moves down. I'm going to go and press G again on the keyboard. I'm going to scale this out to about here. I'm going to move this down. And whenever we hit 3 on the keyboard, we're going to get the shape of the roundness we want, but I want to keep this upper edge right here and this lower edge. Realistically, these do have these edges, so that's why I want to keep them. And then I'm going to come in here to face. I'm going to select these faces right here. I need to deselect, so that's why I have just the outside faces selected. I'm going to extrude these, and when I extrude these, I'm going to extrude them just a little bit. I'm going to press G, extrude them one more time. Right about here, I'm going to press G, and this will be the last extrusion. So now when I press 3, this is the shape we have. I'm going to create the edge loops right here, about like that. So brake pad is done. That easy. And as you can see, this brake pad is going to fit in there without a problem. I'm wondering how many of you are like, whatever. Alright, so this needs to be flipped 180. Let's go ahead and come in here, and I'm going to move this right about here, and I'm just going to scale it down because, you know, it obviously wasn't going to fit the other way. Alright, and the brake pad thickness is usually about like this. So we can just press D on the keyboard. If you want this much detail, you can do all this. It's totally optional. Brake pads sit right about like that. And I'm sure some of you are like, well, what the hell holds it in? The thing that holds it in, I can go ahead and delete that. The thing that holds these in is not the caliper. It's actually this bracket. So, in fact, I'm sure I can show you an image. I can show you an image right here real quickly. Let me find an image at the top. Yeah, that ain't showing it. Here we go. This one will show it. So those little, these little notches right here, see how that makes a square and comes out? There's actually going to be clips, which you do not see because I'm not making them. But right here, they actually go in here. Let me just go down here real quick, and I'll show you exactly where they go. So they go in these little notches right here. This is actually what holds the brake pads in. And there's spots on both sides. Basically, you take out the bolts right here, caliper slides off. Sometimes you have to give a little bit of persuasion, but then the brake pads, you'll pull the old ones off, put the new ones in, and they just slide right inside where these clips are. That's how easy it literally is. So, yeah. And I will need to create the clip for it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. And when I mean quick, I do mean quick. So I'm going to create a cube, create one right about there. So then I'm going to come here. This is a little too long, but that's okay. It is okay. Pull that in. I need to pull this in about right there. I'm going to come into, and maybe I'll just create an edge. So I need to actually I need to start setting this up for creating an edge loop. So let me just create that right here. I can come in here to face, and select these two. Go ahead and extrude these out. Probably right about here, I'm thinking. Then I'll click on these. I'm going to pull these up right about here. And then I'm going to extrude them up. I'm going to extrude up just a little bit. I'm going to press G on the keyboard, move these up to about here. Press G on the keyboard again, move these up to about here. And I'm going to press G on the keyboard one more time and move this up to about here. So then I have these two faces right here that I can just pull back. Something like that. And so these are the brackets that we're creating, more or less. Now, I'm sure some of you are like, well, why'd you do that? Isn't the thing supposed to go here? And it does. So in order to change that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add an edge loop right here and right here. And then I'm going to select these faces. No, wait, I don't want to do that yet. I'm sure some of you are laughing right now. I actually want to create one more edge loop. I'm going to keep these tight. and I do mean tight. So now I can come in here and select the faces like this, and I can just pull them back like that. So that's basically what I'm doing. I need to select these. I'm going to flatten them back. I'm going to pull them down. Go ahead and just do it like this. There we go. I'm actually going to go ahead and scale it in just a little bit. So then I can go ahead and grab this edge, and I can pull this edge back. About like that, and I can pull this edge back, and then I can click this edge and pull that one back just a little bit. So now I should have this shape. Whoa! There we go. So then the next thing I need to do is come in here in the face, and then, let me see, I'm going to go into edge real quick. I'm just going to pull this over. And then I can select these two faces, and I can go ahead and move these up right about here. Do the same thing right here. I'm going to click on face right here, press G, move those right about there. I'm going to come in here, Control Shift D, and need to find out where the hell that went. That went over there, so let me just go ahead and hit Control D, and that's going to be the Z. So Z will need to be -1. Just going to move that right about here. Let's go ahead and combine these. Face, face, and then we'll hit delete on those. Edge, edge. We'll bridge those over, and we'll do the same thing here. Next we will go into object mode. Let's go ahead and save it and combine these. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the tutorial right here. In the next lesson we're going to add the brakes in, and then we'll go ahead and duplicate all this across, and then we'll start working a little bit more on the, we'll actually start working on the frame a little bit more. But yeah, I shall see y'all in the next lesson.